Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something really fundamental for anyone who feels like they're just endlessly working in their business or their career or even just daily life.
Mhm.
Instead of truly leading or building it, we've got this incredible stack of insights here from the Catalyst 88 Executive Training Program.
Yeah, and it promises to help you shift from feeling, well, kind of trapped by your own success, maybe.
Exactly, to creating something sustainable, something fulfilling.
That's right. And this deep dive, it's not just about like tactical quick fixes, it's more of a fundamental shift in perspective.
Okay.
We'll explore a philosophy that moves beyond just being busy, busy, busy all the time to actually being effective.
Right.
The program really emphasizes that the most impactful changes, the ones that stick, they always start with a clear understanding of you, your purpose,
Huh.
and then building your world, your business, your career to support that.
So if you've ever had that feeling, that nagging sense that maybe you've built yourself a really nice cage, or that your business feels more like owning a job than leading something bigger,
A very demanding job.
then this deep dive is absolutely for you. We're going to try and help you uncover these core principles of, well, genuine leadership, systematic thinking, and personal fulfillment.
All designed to help you finally work on your business, not just in it.
Okay, let's dig in.
Let's do it.
So our journey into this Catalyst 88 program, it starts with a pretty challenging question right out of the gate. It asks, do you really see yourself as a leader? Or are you maybe just the most senior employee doing all the stuff?
Oof. Yeah, that hits home for a lot of people. It brings up that classic idea from the E-Myth, right?
Exactly.
If you're constantly just mired in the day-to-day, the technical work,
You're not really expanding. You're not leading.
you're just working in it. It's a crucial distinction. Many entrepreneurs, they start because they're incredible doers,
Yeah.
They're great at their craft.
Yeah, the best technician.
But they hit this wall because they never quite make that leap. The sources paint a vivid picture. If you're still the one prepping spreadsheets, handling every single customer service call, or like literally unloading the trucks,
Even if you own the place.
right, you're fundamentally still an employee, even if
Yeah.
you sign the paychecks. The material has this great line. It says, owning a job is not awesomer.
Huh. I like that.
It kind of highlights it. Well, it's fine if you're genuinely happy doing that, but most people looking into this kind of training, they're not satisfied.
Okay, so if that's not leadership, what does true leadership actually look like then? Does the program give us, like, clear components?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Catalyst 88 crystallizes into three essential elements: vision, action, and culture.
Okay, vision, action, culture.
So vision, that's your crystal clear picture for the company's future.
Yeah.
But it's more than just a dream, it's the roadmap to get there. And it needs to be articulated with, like, real energy and conviction. So much so that it becomes a shared vision for everyone. They need to see how their little piece fits into that big picture.
So it connects their daily tasks to something bigger, like setting the course and steering the ship.
Precisely. Less about just what we do today and more about where we're all going together and why.
Okay, makes sense. Then action.
Action is about what you do and how you do it. You're the role model. It involves constantly leveling up your systems, increasing competence across the team, not just yourself, and really driving those organizational advancements.
So leading by example, basically.
Very much so. You're not just directing, you're demonstrating. And then finally, culture. This one's often the most intangible, maybe, but arguably the most powerful.
Yeah, culture's tricky.
It really is. It's about the way you do things around here. Your passion, how you treat people, your genuine confidence in the company's mission, and importantly, your willingness to jump on problems quickly and personally. All that stuff shapes the culture.
That's a powerful framework. Vision, action, culture. But the sources also make a really important point that this VAC, it has to be yours, authentically yours, not some cookie-cutter approach.
Oh, absolutely critical. If you try to force a vision or a culture that isn't truly authentic to you, it just falls apart. It's
Yeah.
unsustainable.
Right.
The program stresses that you learn these core principles, sure, but then you must adapt them to your unique style, your values, your strengths. It's about becoming a better version of yourself as a leader.
Not trying to be someone else.
Exactly. Not a different person. Because that authentic application, that's where you unlock the maximum results, and just as importantly, that personal fulfillment. Trying to fake it just doesn't work long term.
It turns out many leaders are, well, maybe a bit reluctant to fully embrace this kind of systemic thinking. It's often easier to just blame a person or a bad week or the economy when things go wrong.
Oh, definitely. It's the default.
Yeah. But this next section really drives home that systemic thinking isn't just some corporate buzzword. It's like a deep philosophy. Can you unpack that a bit? What do the sources mean?
Yeah, it's absolutely foundational, especially if you want any kind of harmony between work and life.
Which is the goal for many.
Right. The sources share some pretty sobering statistics, like a staggering 80% of small businesses fail within 5 years.
Wow, 80%.
Yeah, and it's often not because they didn't work hard enough. Founders, especially, they often find themselves, as the material puts it, on the bottom rung of the happiness ladder
Why does that happen so often?
because they stay stuck working in the business. They fail to delegate effectively, and delegation is way more than just forwarding an email.
Right? Yeah. It's a skill.
It is. And they end up blaming bad hires instead of looking inward at their own lack of systems or processes. And this contributes to why founders are actually twice as susceptible to depression compared to the general population.
That statistic is just, wow. It really underscores how critical this mindset shift is. So let's zoom in on those 3 core principles the program highlights to counter this. How do they directly help people get off that bottom rung?
They basically offer a ladder up. First is this potential of radical realization that life is about more than work.
Seems obvious, but easily forgotten.
So easily. Your business should be a tool to enrich your life. Financially, yes, but also with fulfillment. It shouldn't consume you. Second, the concept of systemic leadership. Moving beyond being just that capable doer to actually building the business as a series of interconnected systems. That's what frees you from the daily grind.
Okay.
And third, business development. Actively focusing on the bigger picture. Strategies, systems, and people. Building something truly sustainable that isn't just dependent on market whims or your personal burnout level.
The sources mention this level set, listing all these common small business obstacles, like the symptoms of this systemic failure. What's the core takeaway from looking at all those common struggles?
The core message is that these issues, owners working insane hours for little pay, businesses feeling chaotic, the company consuming the owner instead of serving them, they aren't random misfortune.
There are patterns.
Exactly. They're symptoms of a lack of a cohesive, systematic approach. Many owners just don't have a personal life strategy guiding their business decisions. They don't even realize they can build a self-sustaining business.
So they just keep doing what they've always done?
Right. They end up wearing too many hats, constantly putting out fires, blaming employees, feeling totally trapped,
Right.
or organizing their entire operation around specific people. Oh, only Sarah knows how to do that, instead of clear, repeatable processes.
And what's really fascinating, almost audacious, is the claim the material makes. That every single one of these common problems can be solved with this systemic thinking mindset.
It's a bold claim, but they back it up.
It's not about just memorizing abstract principles, is it? It's about absorbing them through actually using them.
Precisely. Integrating them into your thoughts, your actions, your outlook, the very fabric of your business. Which brings us right back to those fundamental leadership characteristics we talked about earlier. Having that clear vision, having urgency, which is really action, and fostering the right culture.
Okay, we've talked about what the business needs to thrive systemically. But what about the person leading it? So many entrepreneurs chase success only to find themselves burnt out, unfulfilled, maybe even miserable.
Sadly common.
So this next section from Catalyst 88 dives into maybe the most powerful and often the most overlooked component of sustainable leadership.
Right.
Figuring out your personal WHY.
Ah, yes. The big WHY.
Building a business that actually serves your life, not the other way around. How does the program guide us to, unearth that?
Well, it's an intensely personal process, and it really cuts against a common entrepreneurial myth. The source explicitly says that popular phrase, "it's not personal, it's just business," is flat out wrong.
Really? That's a cornerstone for some people.
They argue it's fundamentally flawed. Your business's ultimate purpose has to be to serve your life. If you just sacrifice endlessly, you'll inevitably end up hating the journey. And that cycle of sacrifice often leads to deep regret years, even decades later.
Makes sense.
Understanding your own motivations, your personal WHY, is what allows you to bring positive energy back tenfold, they say to your staff, your family, your customers. It has to start with you.
The material also warns against these red herrings, the superficial stuff we chase.
Right. Money, fancy cars, power, status symbols.
We think that's the goal. But the program suggests they can actually lead to emptiness if they aren't aligned with something deeper. Is this getting a bit, hippy-dippy?
Huh. No, not at all. They're very clear it's a practical, grounded system.
Mm,
While financial freedom might absolutely be part of your WHY, it's almost never the whole answer.
okay.
Those external markers without that deeper aligned purpose often lead to that hollow feeling, sometimes even depression. And what's really challenging is when you ask entrepreneurs point blank, what do you really want in your life?
They freeze up.
Often,
Yeah.
they pause, they stumble, or they rationalize it away. Who cares what I want? I've got payroll to make.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Those gut reactions, while totally normal, are described by the program as absolutely wrong because they sidestep the core truth. They even suggest starting with the flip side, asking, what don't you want in your life?
Ah, starting with the negative space.
Exactly, which often gets those same defensive but equally revealing answers.
So the really profound insight here is that deep down, you probably already know the answer to your WHY. You just haven't articulated it yet.
Precisely. It's a process of self-discovery. They use the analogy of panning for gold in your own mind.
I like that.
And the program gives you a clear, practical, multi-step process to do this, complete with worksheets. What are some of the key conceptual steps people need to grasp?
Yeah, give us the highlights.
Okay, conceptually, it starts with commitment. You have to actually dedicate real focused time to this. It won't happen passively. Then there's this powerful two-part exercise. First, list what you do not want.
Getting clear on the negatives first.
Right. Brainstorm all those negative feelings, situations, frustrations you want to reduce or eliminate. It's often easier to know what you don't want. Then you flip it and list what you do want, focusing on things that bring genuine accomplishment, joy, purpose, and consciously avoiding those red herrings we talked about.
Money, status.
Right. Avoid those for now. And a really insightful step they include is creating your own eulogy.
Wow, okay. That's deep.
It is, but it's effective. Imagine your memorial service. What you truly hope your loved ones will remember you for. What legacy? It cuts through the surface stuff. Finally, it's about writing your WHY, synthesizing everything into just a concise statement, maybe 2 or 3 sentences, that gives you a positive physical and emotional gut reaction. It has to feel profoundly genuine.
That's a brilliant process to cut through all the noise. So, okay, you do the work. You nail down this clear, authentic WHY. How does it actually function day to day? How is it a roadmap?
It becomes your personal yardstick for literally every significant decision you face, business or personal.
Give me an example.
Okay, say your WHY strongly emphasizes travel, freedom, autonomy. Then, a seemingly great job offer comes along, big salary, but it's in a corporate cubicle 5 days a week.
Instant incompatibility.
Exactly. Your WHY makes the decision almost immediate. Or maybe your WHY is rooted in becoming a recognized expert in, say, fitness and wellness. Then a lucrative opportunity pops up to buy a chain of coffee kiosks.
It's a clear no thank you, right? Even if the money's good.
Precisely. It provides quick, clear answers in that constant flood of opportunities and distractions that entrepreneurs face. It keeps you aligned with what truly matters to you.
Okay, so just like you need that personal WHY, your business needs one too. This is what the program calls the strategic objective, sometimes called the business WHY or the vision. The terminology isn't the most important thing, is it?
No, the concept is key. A strategic objective is essentially a clear, written statement that communicates the company's future vision. And it's not just for you, it's for everyone. Your team, your customers, even your suppliers and vendors.
So it aligns everyone.
Exactly. It refines what your business is really about, beyond just, selling widgets or services today. The source provides this really comprehensive checklist of things to consider when crafting it.
Like what kind of things?
Oh, everything. Your product or service line, obviously, but also your future company size. Think revenue, profits, number of team members, your desired growth rate, geographic scope local, national, global. Your ideal target customer profile, a realistic timeline, how you want to position yourself price leader, quality focus, unbeatable service.
Wow, that's thorough.
It is. And it covers your unique differentiators, your core marketing approach, your fundamental company values, and your commitment to operational excellence. It forces you to get specific about the future you're building.
It sounds like it really forces you to think big, maybe bigger than you normally would.
It absolutely does. The material uses this fantastic, though hypothetical example of what McDonald's 1955 strategic objective might have looked like.
Oh yeah, tell us about that. It sounded incredibly detailed.
It is, and it's a brilliant illustration of the power of a clear vision. Their objective wouldn't have just said, sell more burgers. It envisioned McDonald's as a nationwide chain of identical restaurants, delivering healthful, low-cost food to millions, generating over $500 million in revenue, which was huge back then, with over 1,000 eateries.
It's a specific.
Incredibly, it detailed everything from the consistent customer experience, prompt service, hot food, clean environment, right down to the menu, the store layout, the employee uniforms, and even explicitly naming their target customers, families from all backgrounds.
It shows how even seemingly small details can fit into that big, measurable, ambitious objective.
Exactly. And it ties into what the sources say about avoiding those vague, flaming garbage mission statements that you see framed on walls.
Yeah. Those ones that sound nice but mean nothing.
Right. Instead, they push for defining clear, actionable company values. They mention the We Believe statements from Empowery.com as a good example, values that directly tie into the strategic objective and the culture you want to build. Those are the things that actually guide behavior.
Okay, so we've explored the personal WHY, the company's strategic objective. Big foundational pieces. Now, how do you communicate that driving purpose in a way that actually connects with people, that resonates?
The power of story.
Exactly. The answer lies in your company origin story. And the material makes a point of saying many entrepreneurs think their story isn't interesting enough.
But they're usually wrong. It's such a common misconception. The goal isn't to write, a Hollywood screenplay.
Right.
It's about galvanizing your company's real origin into something easy to understand and, crucially, emotionally resonant. A compelling story does so much work for you.
How so?
Well, think about it. It inspires your team, gives them something to rally behind. It ignites customer imagination, makes them feel connected to more than just a transaction. And it encourages vendors and partners to support you beyond just the basic business deal.
So it builds loyalty and connection.
Absolutely. It's described as one of the highest ROI things you can create, often with almost zero financial investment. Your team wants to follow a leader with purpose. Your customers want to feel good about where they spend their money. Your vendors want to partner with winners who are going somewhere meaningful.
The source tells this brilliant, super relatable story about meeting your hero at the airport.
Oh yeah, the airport test.
And you get asked, so what do you do? And it perfectly captures that common entrepreneurial struggle. You mumble, I'm an entrepreneur, or I started my own company.
And then the follow-up, oh cool, what does your company do?
And bam, awkward silence. Or you spout off some meaningless platitude like, we deliver value with best quality and service at a fair price.
Which means absolutely nothing to anyone. That realization is key. Think about the companies we remember, the Apples, the Disneys, Spanx. They all have compelling origin stories people connect with.
So how do you find your story? Does the program give steps?
It does. A 7-step process. Conceptually, it starts by looking back at your personal WHY and your company's strategic objective. Those are the foundations.
Okay.
Then it's about actively brainstorming, jotting down notes about those aha moments, the initial inspirations, early successes, even those terrifying moments that forced you to grow stronger.
The struggles are part of the story, too.
Definitely. It also suggests asking other people, co-founders, early employees, even family, what they remember about the beginning. Their perspective can be invaluable. Recall memorable customer stories that really showcase the value you provide. Focus on what makes you unique.
And then, crucially, you have to weave in that big picture vision, right? What you ultimately hope to achieve, the problems your company exists to solve.
Precisely. It's not just a history lesson looking backward. It's a narrative that propels you forward. It connects the past to the future.
We've really established the absolute necessity of having that clear vision, that WHY, both for ourselves and for our businesses. But a vision, no matter how great, needs action. It needs to be communicated, especially to potential customers.
Right. Vision without execution is just hallucination.
Exactly. So how do we translate that strategic objective into actual tangible results, particularly when it comes to marketing, attracting, and converting customers? Let's shift gears now into marketing, but looking at it through this unique lens of systemization that the program champions.
Okay.
The sources challenge those traditional org charts, suggesting we should focus on functions rather than rigid job titles.
Yeah, this is so critical for scaling effectively. Instead of thinking we need a marketing manager, think we need the function of lead generation handled. The material introduces this concept of a basic sales equation for digital businesses.
A funnel idea.
Pretty much. It illustrates that whole journey from initial impressions to click-through rates, website visits, maybe form submissions, and then finally, those conversion rates that actually lead to revenue. Understanding each step in that funnel is paramount.
And it uses the classic TO view, MOFU, BOFU model.
Yeah, the evergreen top of funnel, TO view for awareness, middle of funnel, MOFU for consideration, and bottom of funnel, BOFU for conversion. It maps neatly.
So how do we build what the program calls a perfect marketing department using this functional systemic approach without just hiring titles?
You prioritize the necessary functions first, and then you match those functions to resources, whether that's internal people, freelancers, or agencies. And they often map this using the familiar AIDA model: attention, interest, desire, action.
Okay, break down AIDA in this functional context. Attention.
Attention is your top of the funnel. Think about just getting seen. Listing a product on Amazon, for example. The initial functions here involve content creation, copywriting, photography, video, graphics, getting the basic assets right. Many small businesses smartly outsource these functions initially.
Makes sense.
Then interest.
Interest is the middle of the funnel. This is about driving traffic, getting clicks. Think Amazon PPC, Google Ads, Facebook ads, paid advertising often lives here. Here, the crucial function is managing your metrics: cost per click, CPC, and cost per acquisition, CPA. You have to know these numbers and manage them to stay profitable.
And how do you resource that function?
You've got options. You can DIY, do it yourself if you have the skills. You can hire a DFY agency, done for you. Or you can use a DWU model, done with you, which is more of a collaborative hybrid approach. The key isn't which one is best, but understanding which function you're assigning and what results you expect.
Right. And then bringing it home with desire and action. Correct. Desire is really focused on conversion. Getting someone from interested to ready to buy. The classic tension between marketing and sales often shows up here. Marketing can't magically sell a terrible 2.5-star product, right?
No amount of ads will fix that.
Exactly. And conversely, marketing shouldn't overspend driving traffic if the product page or the offer itself isn't converting well historically. This function is about maximizing all those signals that build customer trust and make them want your specific solution.
Okay, and finally, action.
Action is the moment of truth, the purchase. But the function doesn't stop there. Your mission continues. Build instant confidence. This means reciprocal actions. Think immediate order confirmations, clear shipping updates, or for leads, calling them back super fast. They mentioned calling within 60 seconds can increase close rates by a massive 350%.
Wow, 350%, that's huge.
It's incredible. This stage is all about turning that first purchase into the start of a long-term relationship, building repeat customers.
Okay, that AIDA model mapped to functions is really clear. Now, when dealing with outside help, like marketing agencies, the sources offer some crucial caveats, warnings, basically. What are the big ones people need to watch out for?
Yeah, this is important. They list 4 critical ones. First, always set clear, measurable key performance indicators, KPIs. You have to know they're doing a good job based on data, not just feel like they are.
No vibes-based agency management.
Exactly. Second, be wary of those do-it-all agencies. The sources bluntly call many of them snake oil. They often rely on complex, onerous contracts that trap you. Look for specialists.
Which leads to the third point.
Right. A great Amazon PPC expert is probably not the best person for your Facebook or Google Ads strategy, and vice versa. Find specialists for each major platform or function you need handled. Don't expect one agency to be world-class at everything.
Makes sense. And the last one.
Don't abdicate responsibility. Just because you hired an agency doesn't mean you can forget about it. You must actively manage them. That means regular meetings, like weekly check-ins and maybe quarterly reviews with their leadership. You have to protect your business from what they call death by 1,000 cuts. Too many tools, too many vendors, not enough oversight.
That's really practical advice. And the bonus insight here, tying it all together, is that no matter the marketing channel, online, offline, whatever, a system and a resource can always be assigned to manage it.
Systems can rule them all. That's the mantra.
So far, we've talked about applying these system ideas to specific areas like marketing, but the CATALYST 88 program takes it like a level higher, suggesting we build a system for systems themselves. What does that even mean in practice?
Yeah, it sounds a bit meta, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually super practical. It's about how to build systems for everything in a coordinated way. The program introduces this brilliant framework they call the 7 Centers of Management Attention.
Okay, 7 centers. What are they?
Think of them as the critical pillars, the main functions, that any professional executive, especially a founder, has to constantly keep an eye on. They list things like lead generation, lead conversion, client fulfillment, marketing as a broader strategic function, money, finance, and management, people and processes.
That covers most of business.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And crucially, all of these are underpinned by and driven by leadership. It's about recognizing how these centers are interconnected. If your lead generation system starts to falter, it's going to directly impact your lead conversion numbers, which will eventually hit your money flow.
Yeah, they're all linked, like gears in a machine.
Exactly like gears. So the core premise is that your business is fundamentally a system of interconnected systems. Whether you design it that way or not, it is.
It just might be a messy, inefficient system right now.
Precisely. This idea goes back to that franchise prototype theory. Build your company as if you intend to replicate it perfectly, over and over again. The ultimate goal is for your company to run itself systematically, reliably, flawlessly, eventually, without your constant intervention in every little thing.
Which means moving from people dependency to system dependency.
Yes. And it's crucial to understand this isn't about demeaning employees or making them cogs. It actually liberates them. When the routine stuff is handled by systems, people are freed up to do more meaningful, higher-level thinking and problem-solving.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, but systems aren't just set it and forget it, are they?
Oh, definitely not. The sources emphasize that systems are living organisms. They change, they evolve, they break down. Murphy's Law is in full effect, as they say. So bottlenecks and blockages will emerge if you ignore your systems. But the intent behind those 7 centers is clear. Leadership develops skills and vision. Marketing drives awareness. Money orchestrates finances. Management drives measurement. Remember, what gets measured gets managed. Lead gen fills the funnel. Lead conversion makes the sales. And client fulfillment ensures happy customers who come back.
Got it. Now, you mentioned a critical warning earlier. Don't design around people. Can you expand on that? It sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but it's vital. It's so common for owners to say things like, oh, Kathy handled all her credit stuff. I don't know what we'd do without her.
Yeah, the indispensable employee.
Right. And while Kathy might be amazing, relying solely on her creates a massive vulnerability for the business. What if Kathy wins the lottery, or gets sick, or leaves? The goal isn't to devalue Kathy. It's to build systems around the function Kathy performs, so that any qualified person, including Kathy, can step in and operate that system to get consistent, predictable results.
And this applies to the owner, too.
Absolutely. The sources say entrepreneurs are the worst offenders here, resisting documenting their own processes, rationalizing why they're the exception. You have to systematize yourself out of the daily grind, too.
Another pitfall they warn about is the mushroom cloud syndrome. What's that?
Yeah, this is when you identify a real problem, a pressing issue you need to solve with the system. But then you start overthinking it. You try to map out every possible long-term implication, every edge case, every future scenario.
Analysis paralysis.
Totally. You get overwhelmed by the complexity, and the whole project just explodes into this unmanageable, paralyzing cloud. Nothing gets done. The key, they stress, is to start small. Build a minimum viable system first, get it working, and then iterate.
Okay, so start small, iterate. But how do you decide when you actually need to formalize the system for something? Is there a trigger?
They offer 3 simple questions to ask yourself. First, how important is the result of this activity? Does it significantly impact the customer, the product quality, or the bottom line? If it's trivial, maybe you don't need a formal system yet.
Makes sense. What's the second question?
Second, is this a repeating activity? If it's something you only do once a year, maybe a checklist is enough. But if it happens daily, weekly, monthly, then yes, it probably warrants a system, unless it's a major one-off event like a huge product launch, which might need its own temporary system.
Okay, importance and repetition. And the third?
Third, is there a need for consistency and reliability? Do you need this task performed the same way, achieving the same quality outcome every single time? If predictable results matter, then yes, you need a system. It's often not about being faster initially, but about hitting the target reliably every single time.
Importance, repetition, consistency. Got it. Now, for actually building these systems, they offer this repeating question method. It sounds like a way to break things down.
It is. It's a really practical way to avoid that mushroom cloud syndrome. It's simply asking over and over, in order to achieve this objective, what systems do I need to implement?
Okay, give me an example.
Let's take leads again. In order to generate qualified leads consistently, what systems do I need? Well, you probably need a system for content marketing, a system for paid advertising, a system for email list building.
Okay, drilling down.
Exactly. You take one of those. Okay, in order to have an effective paid advertising system, what systems do I need? Well, maybe a system for Facebook ads management, a system for Google ads management, a system for ad creative production.
Keep going.
Okay, for the Facebook ads management system, what do I need? A system for audience targeting, a system for ad copywriting, a system for graphic design, a system for campaign monitoring and reporting.
Right.
You keep asking the question, breaking the big scary thing down into smaller, manageable subsystems.
Until you get to a level where you can actually write a simple standard operating procedure, an SOP that a person can follow.
Precisely. It makes building complex systems feel much less daunting. You create a tree of systems built from these bite-sized SOPs that humans can actually operate effectively.
And it comes back to that idea. Humans are the secret to scale.
They absolutely are. The systems don't run themselves. Humans operate the systems, and the systems operate the business. And as the sources keep emphasizing, happy, fulfilled humans working within clear systems are way more productive and effective.
And the key is iteration, right?
Yeah.
Don't aim for perfection on day one.
Absolutely not.
Huh.
Get version 1.0 out there, get it working, learn from it, and then continuously improve it. That's the fastest path to progress.
Okay, let's talk about frustrations, because no matter how good your systems are, frustrations will happen in business. They're just unavoidable.
Definitely. Things go wrong.
But the job of leadership, as these sources really hammer home, is to solve problems, even the ones that feel impossible. They use the Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile analogy. What seemed impossible became possible.
Right. And frustrations, when you look closely, usually stem from underlying patterns of failure. The goal isn't just to fix the one-off issue, but to replace that failing pattern with a system that produces consistent success instead.
So how do we typically interpret frustrations? The material identifies 3 ways, but only one is really productive for a leader.
Correct. First, there's the internal interpretation. It's my fault, I am the cause. This leads to guilt, self-blame, like, I should have caught that bad ad sooner.
Okay, blame inward.
Second, the external interpretation. It's someone else's fault, blaming the economy, a bad employee, a supplier messing up, pointing the finger outward.
Very common.
Extremely. And the third way, the productive way, is the systemic interpretation. The lack of an effective system is the cause. A process broke down, a communication pathway failed, or maybe a necessary system was just missing entirely, like having no formal inventory management process.
And the big insight is,
The profound truth the program reveals is that most business frustrations, when you dig down, are fundamentally systemic at their core, even if they look like people problems on the surface.
that is a huge shift, moving from blaming people or circumstances to examining the process. So how do we do that practically? They offer the key frustrations process.
Yes, a step-by-step method to tackle these frustrations head-on, systemically.
What's step 1, and why is it so critical?
Step 1 is to define a single frustration. Be specific, but keep it broad enough initially. And crucially, don't state a solution in your definition. For example, don't say, I need an inventory system. Instead, define the frustration as, we keep running out of inventory on our key best-selling items.
Why is that distinction so important?
Because stating the problem broadly, running out of inventory, allows for the discovery of multiple potential root causes and solutions. Maybe it is a lack of an ordering system, but maybe it's poor forecasting or supplier issues or unexpected demand spikes. Jumping to a solution, I need an inventory system, closes off exploring other possibilities too early.
Okay, define the problem, not the solution. Then what?
Step 2 is redefine it as a system failure or gap. This is a critical reframe. Convert those internal I messed up or external they messed up frustrations into system-directed statements. So instead of my team isn't giving me the reports I need on time or Quincy talks way too much at his desk, you reframe.
How would you reframe those?
Maybe the reporting system isn't providing timely data for decision-making, or overall team productivity appears to be deteriorating as a result of excessive on-the-job socializing near workstations. See how it shifts the focus.
Yeah, it focuses on the outcome and the environment, things you can potentially control with a system rather than just blaming Quincy.
Exactly. Focus on what you can control within your business sphere.
Okay, reframe systemically. What's next?
Then it gets analytical. Step 3. Work the problem to quantify the underlying issue. Get precise. Don't just say inventory runs out. How many units? How often? Which specific items? What percentage of sales are lost? How long does it take to restock? How much does the disruption cost in real dollars or lost opportunity?
So get the hard data.
Yes. Quantification provides impartiality. It takes the emotion out of it and helps you prioritize. A $10 annoyance is different from a $10,000 problem. For instance, late timesheet submissions are causing an average of X hours of overtime weekly, costing the company Y dollars per month, and delaying payroll processing by V days. That's specific.
Okay, quantified, now what?
Once the problem is clearly defined and quantified, step 4 is to conceptualize a systemic solution. Now you can start thinking about what kind of system might fix this. Keep it fairly generic at first. For the timesheet example, the concept might be, we need a system that makes it easy and mandatory for team members to submit accurate timesheets on schedule and straightforward for finance to receive, verify, and process them efficiently. It shows you're thinking systemically about the solution.
Not just tell people to get their timesheets in.
Right. Then step 5 is a crucial check-in. Reaffirm commitment to solving the issue. Ask yourself honestly, okay, based on the quantification in step 3, is this frustration actually big enough, costly enough, disruptive enough to justify spending time and money to fix it properly? Or should I consciously decide to live with it for now?
Is the juice worth the squeeze moment.
Exactly. Your quantification helps you make that call rationally. Assuming the answer is yes, then you move to step 6. Create the specific SOPs to solve the problem.
This is where the detailed design happens.
This is where you design, develop, and document the actual system. Who is responsible for what? What's the system's name? What are the exact expected outcomes? What's the step-by-step workflow? Which personnel are involved? What resources, software, forms, tools are needed? What are the deadlines? How will it be measured? How will issues be communicated? What training is required? How will you validate it's working?
That sounds comprehensive.
It needs to be.
Ah.
And finally, step 7. Roll out the new system. Implement it as soon as practical. Don't expect perfection immediately. Emphasize continuous improvement, measure, monitor, optimize. Empower your team to suggest improvements to the system and introduce it carefully to employees, highlighting the benefits to them. Less hassle, clarity, fairness, making it easier for them to comply than not to.
Wow, that's a very structured way to kill frustrations.
It is. And the sources say, while it might feel awkward or overly formal at first, this process becomes routine for effective leaders. It helps them solve persistent problems, identify who fits the culture of systems, and retain great talent because people appreciate clarity and predictability. Ultimately, people are your greatest resource, managing the systems that run the business. Focus on systems that deliver measurable improvements, not just nice-to-have tweaks.
Wow, that was, a truly expansive deep dive. Building a business that actually serves your life, not the other way around. It feels like we covered so much ground.
Really did.
From finding that deep personal purpose, that WHY, all the way through to systemizing pretty much every aspect of your company, it's just so clear that true leadership, the kind they're talking about, is really about intentional design.
Not just reacting.
Yeah, not just reacting to the daily chaos, putting out fires all day.
Exactly. I think the core takeaway, really, from all this Catalyst 88 material we explored today is that your journey as a leader, whether you're building a tiny startup or managing a huge team, it fundamentally comes down to self-awareness first.
Knowing your WHY.
Knowing your WHY and then combining that with systematic design. It's that constant interplay, that dance between understanding your deepest motivations and then translating that understanding into predictable, reliable processes. That's what allows your vision to actually become reality.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Maybe consider this. If your business truly is a reflection of you, and if your ultimate goal is a life with more fulfillment, more freedom, what's maybe just one system?
Just one to start.
Yeah, just one system you could implement, maybe even this week, that would free up just 1 hour of your time, just 1 hour that you could then use to work on your business, or maybe just, live a little bit more of your WHY.
It's powerful when you frame it that way.
Because the power of systems isn't just about making things more efficient, is it? It's about reclaiming your time, reclaiming your life.
And here's a final thought. What if, by focusing on just that one system, that one frustration, you've maybe avoided? What if you discovered the impossible problem you've been wrestling with for months or even years isn't actually impossible at all? What if it's just been sitting there waiting for your focused, systematic attention?
That is a powerful thought to leave everyone with. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Until next time, keep digging for those insights.